G'day folks, and welcome back to the 19th episode of The Land of Saurus. Here we are, as it is now tradition at the beginning of each episode, to welcome our latest subscribers to Subscriber Forest. So we're just going to plant their tree down now and grow it up real quick here. We've just got the one for this video, and line this sign up, and we'll just chuck that down here. So our latest subscriber is number 27. Number 27, and it again is an unknown subscriber. So we'll chuck that down here. So welcome, latest unknown subscriber. Thank you for your support. And if anyone else would like a tree planted in their honor, feel free to subscribe. And if you feel like that one of these unknown subscriber trees are yours, then absolutely send me a message and I will get that updated for you. Anyway, on with the video. Okay folks, so here we are back at my base, and as you might have noticed that I've got all of my equipment taken off and my levels have disappeared, and that's because I've been experimenting a little bit with trying to find out where my spawn point is. And I'll give you guys an example of this. I'll just knock out my bed here. Actually, I'll have a quick sleep first. And the reason that I'm trying to find out where my spawn chunks are is because I am wanting to make an iron golem farm. And the reason that I want to make an iron golem farm in the spawn chunks is because when you make an iron golem farm, if you move too far away from the farm, the golems will stop spawning in. And that means that you won't be constantly making iron anymore. Whereas if you set up a golem farm in the spawn chunks, then they will always remain spawned and loaded so long as you're in the overworld, which means that no matter where we are in the world, we will always have a constant supply of iron coming in. So in order to find my spawn chunk, or where my spawn chunks were, I did have to jump down this long shaft here and die, as I'm doing right now. And this is roughly where my spawn chunks are. So if I hold down F3G, hold on, where is it? F3G. There we go. We can bring up this this UI interface here, and that shows me exactly where the chunks are. So probably, you know, in these chunks around here, I should be able to create a very nice iron golem farm. And the most convenient thing about it, hold on, I'll just turn off this this UI here, is that there's actually a village quite close here, and there's villagers in there. They haven't all died yet. So this is going to be the ideal place to actually set up this iron golem farm. I think it's a little bit too far away for me to actually set it up in the village itself, so I'm still going to have to set it up a little bit further away. But I will be able to come over here and breed up some of these villagers to get the amount of villagers that we need for an iron golem farm, and set it up just over there in the distance so it won't be too difficult to get the villagers where they need to be. But there's already quite a few villagers here as well, so it shouldn't be too much of a challenge. So I'm going to go look at some designs on YouTube and see which sort of design is going to meet our needs the best, so we can get a large supply of iron coming in. And then yeah, I'll get back to you, and we'll have a look in the creative world and see what kind of design we want to go for. Okay, so after doing a bit of research, there is a design that I would quite like to attempt. It's a little bit tricky, so I don't know how well it's going to go, but it's a design by a YouTuber by the name of Gnembon, and I saw his design featured in a Mumbo Jumbo video. So that's the design we're going to go for this iron farm. And so far, all I have really done in designing this thing is putting down a chest. So I know that that's where I want the iron to go, so now I guess I just got to try and build an iron farm around this chest. So let's see what we can come up with. So I managed to get a world download for Gnembon's design, which he had on his video, which I'll also link in the description. So this is what we're going to be trying to build essentially. So it's got this husk going around in circles along this track here, and it's jumping in front of these villagers here, which are panicking and then spawning not zombies, spawning golems onto these platforms, which then obviously drop them down here into lava, and then all of the iron flows down into a central point. So this is essentially what we're trying to build. And it seems to be a very efficient design, mostly because the timing of the track is designed so that when the husk does come round to scaring the villagers once again, it's only just as their timer resets to be able to spawn another golem. So it seems to be about as efficient as you could get it to be. And Gnembon's also claiming that it's up to 4,800 iron an hour, which is a lot of iron. And so, if I build this in the spawn chunks, obviously it's going to be running constantly, meaning that we will never have to worry about an iron supply ever again. So this is the design we're going for, and so far I'm just redoing it in my own creative world so I can hook it up to a more, a bigger storage system. So yeah, we've got the first part done, the first capture container and some of the platforms here. So we just need to keep building this design and trying to get a thorough understanding of how it works before I try to do it on the main world. Otherwise, I don't want to get it wrong. That could be very frustrating, especially when we have about 30 villages that we've got to move into the correct locations. So, yeah, I really want to make sure that I get everything right the first time round. Okay, so I have put in now all of the spawning platforms for the golems and all of the killing chambers for the golems, and connected all of these paths up to one central storage place over here. So now what we need to do is chuck in the rails up the top, put in the villager place, like where they're going to have to stand, and put in the mechanism that makes it so the mine cart will stop directly out the front of those villages. So I'm going to get started working on that now. Okay, so it would appear that we have successfully managed to recreate that design, and it looks like that this is a fully functioning iron golem farm. So we can see that every time he goes past each one of these areas, 2 iron golems will spawn, and that'll happen every time he goes into one of these spots. And then they all drop down into the lavas, and it all comes down here, and already I've been starting to get quite good results from this thing. So now this took me quite a reasonable amount of time just to build, and even creative mode. So I'm sure this is going to be quite the task to do in survival. So that will be our next step. But I feel like I have a very good understanding of how this thing works now, and what I need to do to make sure that it doesn't break. So yeah, I guess now all I need to do is really get it all built on our survival world. So I guess we'll head over there and see what we need to do first. Okay, so the first thing on the agenda for trying to build this iron golem farm is that we need to get ourselves some ice. And we haven't actually found ice in this world yet. And I don't have a Frostwalker enchant, and even with a Frostwalker enchant, I'm not 100% sure if you can mine the ice from that. So I'm just going to start heading around on this boat here and hoping that I can come across a cold biome that has a good healthy amount of ice in it. So I don't know how long this is going to take me, considering that we are in a large biomes world, but hopefully it doesn't take me too long to find ourselves a good place to get some ice. So I've been boating around for a little while now, and I'm having a lot of difficulty finding any ice. It's really just a lot of desert and a lot of savanna, which is one of the challenges of being in a large biomes world, I guess. But I think even though it's slightly inconvenient at the moment, I stand by my decision to make this a large biomes world. I think it makes the place a bit more realistic. But yeah, hopefully we'll be able to come across some ice fairly soon. Okay, so I've been roaming around for quite some time now. I've headed about 5,000 blocks south and 5,000 blocks east, as you can see in the coordinates just there. And we're heading into the colder biomes, but still haven't really found any ice yet. So I'm really hoping that, now that we're near it, or in the colder biomes, it won't take us too long to find what we're looking for. We have finally found a biome that has ice in it, a little bit off in the distance here. It has taken me a very long time to find it, but the location of it seems to be, so if we go up another 100 blocks, we will be pretty much in line with our base to the west. So yeah, this whole area is about 4,500 blocks directly east of our base. So I'll have to remember that for whenever I need ice again in the future. We have a nice little polar bear here as well, which is pretty cool. What kind of ice do we have? We have just regular ice and packed ice. So yeah, this is what we need in order to try and construct our golem farm. So I'm just going to get a bunch of this stuff, and then I'm going to head back to my base. And as it turns out as well, this ice biome is incredibly large. But yeah, there'll be a nether portal that I'll be able to set up just up here, so it stays in line with the rest of my nether highway at 4,000 blocks east and 1,000 blocks north. So I can get a nether portal set up here at some point, which means that we'll never have to worry about trying to find ice again. But at the moment, our base is exactly 4,000 blocks in this direction. So yeah, I'm just going to start running back to base now. Oh, also we have like a massive amount of ice, so that's nice as well. Alright, so we've made it back home, and now we have our ice nice and safe and stored in our base. So we're going to have to get a few other materials as well for this golem farm. But the main thing that we're going to have to do now is head over that village over there. And we need to give them a whole bunch of beds, because we need to start breeding those villagers up a bit, because we'll need 30 villagers in total. So we'll need a whole bunch of beds, and we'll need a whole bunch of carrots and potatoes and things like that to encourage them to breed a little bit. So yeah, lucky I've got a whole bunch of carrots and potatoes in here, and I think this will probably be more than enough to do what we need. So I'm going to head over that village, and I'm going to see what I can start doing in order to get those villager populations up a little bit. Okay, so here I am in the village. I've brought a bunch of carrots and potatoes, so I'm going to start just throwing these at some random villagers now, if I can find any. Here's a couple over here. So I'll give them some carrots and potatoes, so they can use that to start. Oh, geez, they've started trading and breeding with each other already. So now all I need to do really, because their population can't exceed the amount of beds there are in the village. Also, I want to make sure that they are relatively safe from mobs and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm going to need to build maybe a small house, something really simple, and fill it with beds, or maybe I can fit in a whole bunch of more beds in some of the other houses around here. So I'm going to start putting a whole bunch more beds in here and really filling out the population of this village a bit. So I don't think I've really needed to build a new structure. There seems to be quite a bit of room in the houses to place plenty of beds. So now all of these houses now have a lot more beds than what they were designed to have, except for this one, the first house that I tried to show you, of course. I didn't actually put more beds in, but you know, this one has 3 in here, and This one has a few here and a few more up here. So really just trying to fill these houses up with as many beds as possible to increase the potential villager population capacity. Let's have a look here, and this is me out of beds as well. Hold on, there we go. So now I'll just give these villagers a whole bunch more food. Where are they? I keep getting stuck in these paths for some reason. Now, if I ring this bell, will they all run out here? Is that how that works? At some point, they're going to start coming out anyway. But I need to give these villagers a whole bunch of veg, but they keep moving around so much, they're making it very difficult to give them some stuff. So I might have to wait until they all start congregating around the bell, and then I'll feed them all up to the brim so they can start having lots and lots of little kids. Okay, so it looks like now all the villagers have come to the town center, so I'm just going to give them all of this food that I've got here, and just really try to encourage them as much as possible to make as many babies as they can. So I think that's all of the... Oh no, I've still got a stack of carrots there, so hand those all out. So that should keep them going for a while. I did see some kids running around before as well, so this should really boost up our population so we can start to make our iron golem farm over there a little bit. There we go, we have one little kid there. And I'm sure there's a few more roaming around. So yeah, I'm gonna get started on working on the golem farm, I guess. Now that's probably the next step. So I'm gonna have to go get a few things put together. There's this weird glitch happening at the moment. If I stand near the edges here, I'll show you. It starts pushing me straight away, like I'm not touching anything, and I'm really struggling with these path blocks. They're pushing me around. If I get to the edges, they automatically push me down into the next section. So it's really quite strange. I don't know what this is, but anyway, I'm gonna go get the materials that I need to start building this golem farm, and we'll get it all started. So currently I'm just getting together all the materials that I'm going to need in order to make this thing. So I'll only need one stack of the ice that we got. We need 5 buckets of lava. I got a bunch of glass in here mixing up. I already have a significant quantity of rails. I'll need to make some more powered rails though. How much gold do I have? I've got a little bit of gold, so I don't know how much gold I'll need exactly to get that sorted, but I think I might have enough. And if not, I already don't have enough iron, I don't think, for all the hoppers that I'm going to need for the storage system. So I'll be having to go on a mining session soon anyway. So I think I might do that now and get a bit more iron happening. It's ironic that I need more iron in order to make an iron farm. But this is the situation that I'm in, and now I'm going to have to go for a bit of a mining session. I've gotten a compass out here, because apparently compasses will actually show you exactly where your spawn chunks are, or at least the very center of your spawn. So now I just need to mark out these 4 blocks here, because these are the very center of my spawn chunks. So we want to make sure that if we build this structure, considering it's so big, that the edges of it aren't outside the spawn chunks. So I need to start mapping out exactly where my spawn chunks are, so I can make sure that I build the entire thing within them, so I don't end up losing any of my drops. Okay, so now I'm trying to figure out where our spawn chunks are exactly, and it's quite technical, and they've just changed it all recently, so I'm a little bit confused by it, but I'm going to try here and figure this out. But my understanding is that from this block I have to 10 chunks this way, including the chunk that I'm currently in, will be active. So I'm gonna try and come up with an amount of space that I think is within the spawn chunks, and then we'll just have to test it and see if they are in fact in the spawn chunks. So I'm going to have to lay out an area. It's going to be a fairly big area, but we'll see how it all pans out. Okay, so I think I have managed to work out what the length of these spawn chunks are. So now I just need to connect these arms to make a nice big square in the sky that'll make it very clear to us where our spawn chunks are exactly. So we know when we're building this machine that we have to stay directly within those areas. But also, just to be on the safe side, I also want to do a test to see whether or not this all is in the spawn chunk. So I'm just going to get that square put in, and then we're going to see what it is that I can do in terms of a test to try and figure out whether we're in the spawn chunks or not. Alright, so I have finished marking out the area that I believe are my spawn chunks, and it should be all of this area here. So anything in this area, as long as I build this iron golem farm in this square, I should be all good. But I will need to do a test on that, and the way that I'm going to test it is I'm going to go over to the four corners, right, and I am going to throw 2 items into the corner. And I'll give you an example of what I mean. One will be within the spawn chunks, and one will be outside of the spawn chunks. And then if I run away from those 2 blocks, that should mean that when I come back, the ones inside of the spawn chunks should have despawned, because those chunks were always loaded, and the ones outside of those spawn chunks should still be there. Because when you leave an area, those items stay there until you load those chunks again. Even though it has a 5-minute time limit, that 5-minute time limit only applies for when you're inside those chunks. So if I look directly up here, and I place a block there, and then we're going outside of the square, so we place another block there. And then I need to place a item there, and an item there. And then I'm going to do that on all 4 corners, and then I'm going to run away from this structure. I'm going to go quite far away. And if... Actually, no. I need 1 inside and 1 outside, so I've done that wrong. But, yeah. Essentially, I'm going to do that in all 4 corners. And once I've done that in all 4 corners, I'm going to come back around, and I'm going to see if the ones on the corner here, these ones, should be still there, and then the one that I throw here should disappear. Alright, so let's try that again. And then now I'm going to do that for all 4 corners. Okay, so this is the last corner that we need to do. So these are the last ones that we need. So the first one that we did is over there. So I'm going to run off into the distance now. I'm going to go, a couple of 100 blocks away and make sure that I unload everything. And hopefully when we return, we'll have 1 of those items missing on each pallet that we set up. And if we have managed to do that, then we will know that we have outlined these spawn chunks exactly. So I'm going to head off for a few moments, and then I'll run back and we'll see if we have been successful in outlining outlining the spawn chunks. Okay, so now we're quite far away from the whole structure now, so I'm just going to throw this thing on the floor here, and we're just going to wait until it despawns. That way we know that we've hit the natural despawn rate, and then we're going to run back and we'll inspect those pallets. Okay, so after having spent a period of time away from this thing, let's see if let's see what has and what hasn't despawned. So we'll just head over to this corner real quickly. Okay, but they're both still there, which means the one that was here, this can't be inside of the spawn chunks. That one makes sense. Okay. So that one didn't continue to stay in the spawn chunks. Let's go have a look at the other one. Okay, and both of them remained loaded over here as well. So if that means on this block they are despawning, then it means that this is too big so far. Because if they're in the spawn chunks, they should totally have despawned. Unless I've gotten this whole concept wrong, which means I'm going to have to go back to the drawing board to try and figure this one out. And again, both of them are still there, and just checking that, yeah, that should be, because if I do the, let's go F3H, no, G. Yeah, so this should be inside the spawn chunk, that should be outside. So I'll head up here now and check the last one, but it looks like they all despawned. I mean, they all unloaded. These chunks unloaded. So it's good that we did this test before trying to build the actual golem farm, because if I'd built golems farms in this section, then we may have had a little bit of an issue with how well that would have worked. And again, it has happened. So I might have to keep playing around with this to try and figure this out, because this is not how it was supposed to go down. So I'm going to have to do a bit more research and see what the problem is here and what it is that I've done wrong. So I'm going to go work on that, and yeah, I'll get back to you in a moment. Okay, so I've just done another experiment. On one corner, it looks like I've just done a little bit. I've gone one chunk out too far. So I'm heading over to the other side where I set up the experiment again as well to see if that's fixed it. So over here in this corner, we should come across the other one that I set up where it's one chunk in. And if the same thing has happened, then we will know that where the borders are exactly, and that final chunk on the outside there, that might be, yeah, here it is. So that one has disappeared, but that one has remained, or even though that the creeper just blew up the experiment. But we now know that this outer layer, all the chunks on this outer side, are not going to be part of the, I think this is a passive spawn chunk. Whereas the ones further in are active spawn chunks. And I don't really know much about the difference between those two, but I'll have to do some reading and learn about that. But it does mean that we now know what the limitations of our base are, and that we were only off by just one chunk. So I think that's a good sign, and we now know where we can set up our iron golem farm. So this is looking good right now. Okay, well that was a little bit of a struggle, but after a bit of hard work we have managed to figure out exactly what the dimensions of our spawn chunks are, which means in the next episode I will be building this iron golem farm once and for all, because I'm getting tired of running out of iron, and it's going to be an amazing asset to this world. But anyway, thank you for watching another episode of The Land of Saurus. I hope to see you in the next episode as well. And remember, if you would like to have a tree planted for you in Subscriber Forest, please remember to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, do all of that good stuff. It really helps the channel out. So if you could do any of that, that would be awesome. And if not, thank you just for watching. I appreciate that still as well. But anyway, I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.